Okay, let's try this thought experiment. Imagine the universe is finite, right? And it's expanding, but into, well, an infinite nothingness.
Okay. Like a bubble growing.
Exactly. So what happens if a tiny photon, a particle of light, travels for billions of years and finally hits the edge?
What edge? Yeah, that's a fascinating question. It really makes you picture it.
It does, and that's pretty much the core idea in the source we're looking at today, a piece I'm calling Pondering Light's Reach. It really explores these big cosmic
That
questions.
sounds intriguing. So, our mission today is kind of unpacking light's role in this expanding universe scenario.
Precisely. Based on what this source suggests, what are the implications if the universe does have some kind of boundary?
Okay, well, one of the first things it brings up is kind of a paradox, isn't it?
You mean why space is dark?
Yeah, exactly. It seems like it should be blazing bright, with light from infinite
Right.
stars presumably filling it up.
Right, but the source points out something crucial. We only see light when it actually, hits something, interacts with matter.
Or, obviously, if the source is shining directly at us into our eyes or telescopes.
Otherwise, it's just out there. An
Wow.
invisible flood of photons passing right by. We only notice the ones that splash onto our detectors, so to speak.
That's a good way to put it. And the source also dives into how that light behaves as it travels.
Right, it does. It reminds us that stars aren't like lasers shooting beams in one direction.
No, they radiate outwards, omnidirectionally, like a bare light bulb in a huge dark room.
Uh-huh. So the light spreads out, filling a bigger and bigger volume of space as it goes.
And getting fainter in the process, the intensity drops off.
Yeah.
What is it, with the square of the distance?
Yeah, that's the one. So it gets diluted very, very quickly over cosmic scales.
Okay, so light is spreading out, getting fainter, but then the source adds another layer, something about momentum.
Yes. This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Photons, even though they're massless, they carry momentum. It's a tiny amount, but it's real.
Okay, so if a photon, after its incredibly long journey, actually reached this hypothetical edge,
Could it, push it? Could that momentum transfer to the boundary itself?
hmm, that's the idea the source puts forward, isn't it? That maybe this constant drizzle of photons hitting the edge could actually be contributing to the universe's expansion.
It's kind of a wild thought, not something you'd immediately think of unseen light physically pushing the boundary of reality.
Definitely not obvious. And it makes you think about just how much light is unseen.
Totally. The source emphasizes this if we could somehow perceive all the light, not just the visible spectrum our eyes pick up.
But radio waves, microwaves, infrared, UV, X-rays, everything.
Yeah, all of it. The total intensity would apparently be, well, overwhelming. Blinding, maybe.
So the universe is just teeming with this invisible energy, constantly moving.
Which paints a picture of a much more dynamic cosmos than we might casually imagine, right? Where even these little photons carrying their tiny momentum.
Could be playing a fundamental part in how the whole thing evolves, how it expands.
It sort of shifts the focus, doesn't it? We usually think about matter, stars, galaxies, dust.
Right, the stuff. But this highlights the potential power of something seemingly less substantial, like light itself. It's subtle, but maybe constant influence.
Okay, so wrapping the core ideas together. The universe is full of this unseen light radiating outwards, getting fainter, but carrying momentum.
And that momentum hitting a potential edge might be part of the expansion mechanism. It raises huge questions.
Absolutely. Which leads us to maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to ponder.
If light's been traveling for, say, 13.8 billion years since the Big Bang,
What does an edge even mean for something that's been expanding the whole time? Is it a place, a condition?
and what happens when we develop new ways to see more of this invisible universe? How might that completely change our understanding of these fundamental questions about reality's boundaries?
It really gets you thinking about that deep connection between light, space, time, and, well, the edge of everything. Something to definitely keep thinking about.